say Hare Krishna. Right. Thank you so much, dear devotees. First and foremost, for such a heartwarming birthday celebration and the wonderful dance. That's it added so much to the gaiety there. So thank you so much, Ravi Amatiji, for choreographing the whole. Thank you. And so today we are going to continue our reading with the on the 4 questions asked. So I'd also like to take a moment to thank Parul Mataji and Sumit. Parul, I took your name first before Sumit. And for opening their home and their heart for us to come and have Krishna Katha here. We have been reading for how many weeks now? 4 weeks, I think we have read this book, right? Yeah, almost 4 weeks. That's phenomenal. So we are going to now talk about the second question. This book is about 4 questions. So we did 1 question last time we met. And what was the question? What is my purpose? And why is it important for me to know my purpose? If I know what is my purpose in life, what happens?
You are aligned.
You are what?
Aligned.
You are aligned, yes. So then you are aligned. If you are aligned with your purpose, then definitely, yes. And then what happens when you are aligned with your purpose?
So if there are any impediments, you will not be stuck to those because you know your goal and your purpose. It is clear.
If you're clear in your purpose, so when you have any impediments, you will get the energy and the vigor to overcome them, right? And what is the other thing that happens when you are aligned with the purpose in life?
You are going closer to your goal.
Get closer to your goal because you know where you're going, right? If you don't know where you're going, then it's a very famous saying that if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there because you don't know where you're going. Go ahead, Prabhu.
The star will be aligned and universe will be kind of to meet your purpose.
Good. Then if you know your purpose, then the universe will support you, right? And then also one of the things that we said was that we act with integrity, right? We act with integrity. So, yeah. Let's go to the next question then. We will follow the same pattern that we have been following, which is everybody reads 1 words. And we can use that microphone for now because I won't be talking during the time that we are reading. Just trying to untangle that. Well, maybe we can start from my right-hand side.
No, actually.
The 4 questions, chapter number 2. And what page would that be today? Page 50? 7. Okay. So Shweta Mataji is going to start. 57.
Question 2, how may I be of service? Our second question, how may I be of service, is powerful because according to the Bhakti teachings, we are inherently service givers.
You cannot read? Okay. No glasses?
I might need to wipe the floor.
Okay. Next time you announce, then you also remind to.
Our second service, how may I be of service, is powerful because according to the Bhakti teachings, we are inherently service givers. Our fundamental nature is to contribute to a greater good. Actually, our lives are meant for service, and when we embrace that idea, we feel happy. Srimad Bhagavatam says that when we do unmotivated and uninterrupted service to our original conscious source, we feel satisfied. Unmotivated service means service for which we are not seeking any personal gain, not even recognition. Uninterrupted means that we continue our service despite obstacles. Paradoxically, serving without expecting recognition or reward is most fruitful.
Yeah, if it's a tiny paragraph, you can read the next one also.
Choose your path, enjoyment, renunciation, or dedication. Which is the right path for you? Before we explore this question, let's look at some of the paths the yoga literatures tell us we can choose to follow. The ancient texts describe three general paths: the path of material enjoyment, the path of renouncing the material world, and the path of dedication, devotional service to the Supreme. The path of material enjoyment means to try as hard as we can to get comfortable in life and enjoy the temporary creatures comforts this world has to offer. People have myriad means of going about this, but all of them are ultimately futile because they're eternal spiritual beings, categorically different from matter and its temporary manifestations. Many writings, not only yoga texts, but also songs and poems, comforts. The Rolling Stones sing, "I can't get no satisfaction." Shakespeare writes in Macbeth, "Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more." It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Thus, due to matter's inherent inability to provide lasting satisfaction, this path is not recommended. Yes. The second path is to renounce the material world after one has realized that it is a troublesome place full of all sorts of miseries. An aspirant on the renunciate's path thinks, "I'm going to unload this whole thing. Just give it up. I'll be detached from everything and everyone."
Hare Krishna. The problem with this path is that as conscious living beings, we are all an inherent spirit of attachment. Our nature is to be attached to something or someone. According to a study conducted by the Bradford of the University of California, Berkeley, published in the Journal of Experimental Psychology, human happiness is linked to social engagement and helping others. Many religions include cells designed for solitary confinement, which is considered the most extreme form of punishment. In such a cell, the captive can't see outside or have meaningful human contact. The United Nations has deemed that holding someone in this environment for 15 days or more is a form of torture.
The Bhakti Yoga teachings therefore recommend that one associate with high-minded people. This will not only fulfill our need for social interaction, but will also give us an opportunity to develop noble qualities by their association. As the saying goes, show me your friends and I will show you your future. The Bhakti Yoga teachings similarly recommended that we choose our associates with care.
Another problem with the path of detachment is that the things renouncing try to give up aren't theirs to begin with. Let's say I stroll into a Bank of America and declare that I'm renouncing the bank and all the money in it. The bankers would think I'm crazy. The money in the bank isn't mine. In a broader sense, none of the temporary things of this world are ours. They are all on loan and will eventually be repossessed.
Mike, I was to speak a little further.
The third path, the middle path, is Bhakti Yoga, the path of dedication, devotional service. One who follows this path who is still involved in the world still connected with other people, still engaged in loving relationships, and is still attached. But the Bhakti Yogi's attachment is not material. The Bhakti Yogis are attached to using everything in their sphere of influence to establish a spiritual connection and engage in relationships that have a spiritual foundation. This is the proper use of our inherent love and attachment. And that's why the Bhakti path is so powerful, because we are by nature active, loving, and attached.
Yoga says the path of dedication helps us engage with the world in an enlightened way. As we move about the world, we can remain naturally balanced by dedicating our thoughts, words, and activities to the service of the Supreme Person.
Refining our surface prosperity. Oh, yeah, I need the glasses or something.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Refining our service out and city. If you find yourself in a frustrating situation or feel like you're caught in a whirlpool of anxiety and don't know how to get out, try asking yourself, how may I be of service? How can I serve in this situation? You'll find clarity of mind for the very question connects you to your Sanatana, your internal nature. Sanatana means eternal. Dharma means our purpose, duty, or nature. Just as the dharma of sugar is sweetness and the dharma of water is liquidity, the dharma of the soul or atma is to serve. Every one of us is already engaged in the service of someone or something. As Bob Dylan sang, it may be the devil or it may be the Lord, but you're going to have to serve somebody.
There are lower forms of service, but they inhibit our progressive advancement in life. Many people, for instance, are servants of their senses. They live to eat or are even enslaved by addiction to one substance or another, driven by the idea of attaining happiness through sensual enjoyment. Our mind and senses can impel us to act in various and often self-destructive ways. Rupa Goswami, after meeting Chaitanya, lamented, for how long have I obeyed the bad masters that are my senses? They were always telling me what to do, and I never questioned them. They never gave me time off, and they never gave me mercy. I'll no longer obey them. Now I ask only for service to Krishna. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Nitya Leela 2.16%.
Selfless service. People have various motives for serving, one of which may be the expectations of something in return. But sincere selfless service means that one doesn't want anything from oneself. One is satisfied simply to serve. And such service to the Supreme, done purely for the sake of service itself without any expectation of recognition or reward, frees one from the control of the senses and promotes spiritual progress. Selfless service gives one a taste of natural satisfaction and happiness. By giving, one grows.
This principle came to life for me while I was living in a monastery. One morning, as a newly ordained monk, I was especially hungry. When the breakfast bell rang, I jumped up and ran to the dining hall with one thought in mind: I want to eat. When I arrived, however, there was a snack.
The monk whose turn it was to serve breakfast that day was absent, and it was my duty to fill in for him. I was so hungry, the last thing I wanted to do was delay my eating, serve food to others. But then I remembered my teacher's advice to serve selflessly. So rather than give in to my stomach's demand to eat as soon as I could, I decided to try being fully present while serving the others. As soon as I began, I felt better. My hunger was replaced with a higher sense of satisfaction, which made a lasting impression on me. Serving selflessly was not just a slogan, it was the key to my happiness.
Selfless service stems from love. Such service directed toward Krishna, our original divine source, is Bhakti Yoga. Just as watering the root of a tree nourishes all its branches, devotional service ensures the welfare of all aspects of our lives. Such a selfless perspective also properly adjusts our relationship with material resource. Those enlived by this bhakti infused consciousness naturally live by the principle of yukta vairagya or feasible renunciation. They engage all their material resource in loving service to the Supreme, whereas trying to own and exploit material things for one's own pleasure breeds anxiety and disappointment. Applying this principle of loving renunciation yields everlasting happiness.
This
62. 62, page 62.
63.
63.
To the satisfaction. To achieve happiness by taking oneself out of the center might at first seem counterintuitive, but how can I be served? One might wonder, why aren't more people serving me? My children aren't serving me well enough. My spouse isn't doing enough for me. My friends aren't doing enough for me. And the government isn't doing enough for me. Why don't they do more? Beware, such false expectations guarantee disappointment. Another question that can lead one in the wrong direction is, how can I get more comfortable in life? Of course, we need modicum of comfort. As Srila Prabhupada writes, to keep themselves fit, bhakti yogi must therefore place themselves in a normal condition of life. Srimad Bhagavad Gita 8.2.30 tells us what constitutes a normal condition varies from person to person. We must have what we need to be comfortable enough to go on asking good questions. But if we make comfort our priority, we are fated to live in frustration, as the material world is not designed to serve such a purpose. One cannot wrest lasting satisfaction from fleeting pleasure.
This axiomatic truth is also backed by modern science. In the 2012 documentary Happy, filmmaker Rocco Bellic chronicles psychologists' finding on happiness. His film addresses what is known as the hedonic treadmill, that whatever material gains a person achieves, he or she quickly becomes accustomed to them and wants more. The joy of buying a new car is short-lived because of all the anxieties that come with its maintenance. What's more, the law of diminishing returns says that buying a second new car will bring even less of that fleeting joy than one received upon buying the first one. The ancient yoga wisdom literatures point out that materialism is not limited to buying things. All activities based on sense pleasure share this temporality and subsequent inability to provide the eternal happiness for which everyone hankers.
Reversing dissatisfaction, we can reverse our dissatisfaction by asking ourselves how we may be of service. Bhakti Yoga texts explain that best way to engage the mind is to train it to always be thinking of how to good for others. In this popular book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie touches on the similar point. The world is full of people who are grabbing the self-seeking. So the rare individual who unselfishly tries to serve others has an enormous advantage. The service attitude gives us the advantage of removing ourselves from the center. When we serve, we reveal the pressure and frustration that results from living as though everything involves around us. Ask yourself this question: how may I be of service? By asking this question, we rise above the false expectations that breed disappointment. We are then reinstated in our natural happy state of the consciousness.
Shraddha, what is it? Raksha. Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Natna Goswami's question to check.
Sanatan Goswami questions to Chaitanya. As Chaitanya's disciple, Sanatan Goswami asks probing questions. People believe that I am a great learned man, he said, and I am so foolish that I believe it myself. But what to speak of being learned? I don't even know who I am. Who am I? And why do I suffer in material life? Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, 20.100.103.
Chaitanya's answer is that our constitutional position is to engage in divine service because we are all parts and parcels of Krishna, as sparks are part of fire. Just as a spark separated from a fire soon loses its glow, we living beings separated from serving Krishna gradually lose our spiritual happiness. And just as a spark returned to the fire and is reignited, we, when reconnected with our service to Krishna, revive our inherent happiness. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 20.108.109.
See through the eyes of service. I once saw a short film about a man whose morning didn't go well. Every aspect of his routine annoyed him, starting with a burned out light bulb and an empty tube of toothpaste. Nothing in the house seemed to work. When the man was backing out of his driveway, a kid on the skateboard cut him off, and the man thought, why does that kid always go behind me when I'm pulling out? Hasn't he got a brain? At his usual coffee shop, there was a long line. I have to wait so long, he complained to himself. This is horrible. Someone cut in front of him, and he thought, why is she so inconsiderate? The barista seemed to take forever, and by the time the man finally got his coffee and sat down, he felt totally frustrated. At that moment, a stranger walked up to him, handed him a pair of glasses, and said, please try these on. The camera then pans to the label on the glasses case, Eyes of Service.
When the man put on the glasses, he could see that everyone he had encountered was grappling with some problem. He could see a digital readout on each person's chest that showed the specific problem each of them was facing. The kid who rode the skateboard behind his car was in a hyperactive state due to a lack of attention from his family. The woman had absentmindedly cut him off because she had just found out her husband had cancer. The barista was struggling to overcome a drug addiction, but was trying his best to cheerfully serve the customers.
Upon seeing the plight of each person he had met, the man felt an urge to do something to help them. His mind and heart transformed, his frustration updated. He could see that the inconveniences he had felt were trivial, and a smile came over his face. Through the glasses he had saw the people whom he had
perceived as offensive to be fellow travelers facing the same kinds of struggles as he. As the impulse to help these people increased, so too did his sense of purpose, peace of mind, and happiness. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 6.32, it's chapter 6, 32 sloka, he is a perfect yogi who, by comparison of his own self, see the true equality of all beings in both their happiness and their distress. O Arjuna.
That's the bigger You have to compare it.
And the spark. A service attitude changes our relationship with the world. And the more we expand that attitude, the more we feel fulfilled. This is the occupation of a spiritualist, to recognize and fan the spiritual spark in others. The happiest people are those who empathize with the sufferings of others and who try to help them. The wisdom texts say that the best way to serve others is to give them spiritual knowledge. No more mystery. Bhakti Vinoda Thakura, a famous teacher of Bhakti Yoga, wrote in one of his Bengali songs, "When you declare yourself a servant of the Supreme, all your misery will vanish." This one line alone can change your life. As we move about the world, expecting others to serve us, we feel exhausted. But when we ask ourselves, how may I be of service? We feel invigorated. It's uncanny how one can become happier through service. As wannabe controllers, we face inevitable shortfalls. But as servants, we realize ever-increasing facility. Great thinkers consistently present service as the way to thrive. Saint Francis of Assisi, for it is in giving that we receive. Mahatma Gandhi, the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. Author Maya Angelou, I found that among its other benefits, giving liberates the soul of the giver. Boxing champion and human activist Muhammad Ali, service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth.
Finding your specific service. Hearing these glorifications of service, you may wonder, what is my service in this world? Sometimes it takes a little practice to develop a service mode before one finds the specific ways in which one is empowered, but once you identify a service that comes naturally to you and envelops you, it can grow into your lifetime service. If you just stay open to the idea and keep asking yourself how you can serve, then you will eventually find your service easy.
Service often comes through people who already have service. In the Bhakti tradition, one normally receives service from a venerable sadhu. If you go to a sadhu already engaged in a meaningful service and ask, is there something I can do to assist you? They will be grateful and find a way for you to help. If you usually start small, you get a little service to do. Then when you put your heart into it, the service expand over time and become a bigger part of your life. So if you find an experienced sadhu doing a service that inspires you and align with your values, take the opportunity to ask if you can help you.
Nuances of service, but won't we become everyone's doormat if we are always just trying to serve? Won't people just talk all over us? No, walk. Okay. Same thing. Yes. Yeah. Won't people just walk all over us? No, having a service attitude doesn't mean that we just bend to everybody's will and allow them to take advantage of us. But it does mean that we should use our intelligence to discover how can we improve our situation, any situation, uh, by having service minded. What's more, we are not obligated to serve those who are simply out to exploit us. In this matter, discretion is the better part of valor.
Service manifests in various ways, and because life is full of diversity, there are unlimited ways to serve and countless nuances to consider when applying one's service attitude. Arjuna, for instance, served by using martial arts on the battlefield to fight against injustice and to protect the innocent. His service was to fight, as he was a warrior by nature and profession. Of course, under most circumstances, each violence would be criminal, but the message of the Gita is clear. Everything can be used in service. What's more, Krishna says in the Gita that even the slightest gesture made in service to the Supreme is potential. It all boils down to motive, the outcome, the power lies in our interest.
Sometimes we may feel that our service is insignificant, that it isn't enough. If I can't do everything, we may think I might as well do nothing. This tendency is addressed in a story from the Ramayana, the longest epic poem in history. The hero Rama was building a bridge across the ocean to get to the Lanka and rescue his wife Sita, who had been kidnapped. A squirrel had been throwing little pebbles into the water to help build the bridge. To others, the squirrel didn't seem to be doing anything of value, but Rama reprimanded the squirrel's critics. This squirrel's service is just as important as anyone else. He is doing service according to his capacity.
What may seem insignificant may be very significant on a deeper level. As the saying goes, it's the thought that counts. In the same Ramayana, we hear about Jatayu, the king of birds who had grown old and weary. Despite his old age, however, he stepped up to fight the powerful Ravana, just as Ravana kidnapped Sita, Ram's wife. Jatayu was obviously no match for Ravana in physical strength, but even though Jatayu died in the fight, Rama so much appreciated his service that he personally performed Jatayu's last rite with deep affection and gratitude.
So how was it? What do you think? You want to share some thoughts? Where's the other one? Give me the short one. No, I asked a question.
So you have to do your selfless service. You don't have to think for yourself, but think of your others person. How can you help based on your capacity? What is your capacity? And you help them to overcome their. If they have some issues, you help them. So and then you think of yourself. First, think of others.
Very
and
nice.
Try to overcome them.
Very nice.
I think the other thing that I felt, if you can't with any help, don't do this service or don't be hard on yourself. Be compassionate.
Yes. And then it gives an example. That was an example.
The squirrel.
The squirrel example. Yeah. Yeah. So one question I wanted to ask is that, so there are 4 questions in this book, right? What was the question last time we read? And I keep repeating it. What was the purpose of our life, right? And then the second question is, how can I be of service? So why suddenly from asking what is the purpose of my life, have we just suddenly jumped to how can I be of service? There has to be some connection between those four questions.
Purpose of the life is to serve Krishna.
The purpose of the
We are
life is
paying
to serve
rent.
Krishna, right? So this particular chapter is now going to teach you. So when we read the Bhagavad Gita, right, in chapter 9, so we know the Bhagavad Gita has got 18 chapters in it, and they are divided into 3 parts, 6 and 6 and 6, like that. And the middle 6 chapters talk about devotional service. And so they give an example that when there is something very precious, you kind of cover it with, you do some padding here and a padding from that side so that it doesn't break, right? So similarly, they say that in the Bhagavad Gita also, the most important and the precious chapters are kind of put in the middle of the book, padded by 6 over here and 6 after it, like that. So in chapter 9, of course, Krishna starts talking about devotional service, right from chapter 7 of the Bhagavad Gita. Now, so when he goes to chapter number 9, he's saying that idam te guhyatamam. So he says that I'm going to tell you the most confidential knowledge. And so if he's talking about most confidential knowledge, now I'm going to tell you most confidential knowledge. This means he has given him some confidential knowledge before that, right? So so he says guhyatamam. So guhyatamam is like superlative degree of describing it. So guhya is at the lowest level, which is confidential information, and it starts in the 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where he tells Arjuna, what does he tell Arjuna? In chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita, what's the key turning point in Bhagavad Gita? Chapter 2? That you are a soul. Exactly, Khyati Mataji. So he tells him, you are a soul, and it is a confidential information because not many people know that there is a soul. Not many people even believe that animals have a soul. So it's really confidential information that he's given. And then he talks about karma yoga, jnana yoga, and all that. And then when he comes to chapter 7 and chapter 8, he talks about devotional service. In chapter 6, he talks about dhyana yoga. And then towards the end of it, he just says, well, but then one who does devotional service is the best among all the yogis, right? Yogi namapi sarvesha. And then he comes to 7 and 8, he's point blank, talking about devotional service straight away on the face. And so it's just devotional service, he's saying, and not necessarily, devotional service can be mixed also. I could have a little self-interest and a desire, and that's why I'm doing devotional service to Krishna. I want something good in life, so I go and do devotional service to Krishna. But in chapter 9, he's talking about pure devotional service. Pure devotional service to Krishna is that you're just serving Krishna without anything in your mind for yourself, right? And no anya abhilashta shunyam, like there's no other abhilasha. Shunyam is 0, nothing like that. So this chapter where it's talking about selfless service is ultimately once you learn how to do selfless service, and like they say, charity begins at home, right? So if I'm going to go and do good for others outside the world, I need to make sure that first I behave nicely with the people who are in my home, like that, right? So, so that's what they're saying, that first learn to serve other people who are around you. And then by doing that practice, we will go and ultimately learn how to serve Krishna in a selfless manner, right? So that's the connection that is there between the two. Yeah, please continue with your reflections. Keep them coming. What else?
So, I want to explain, what you I want to speak other way. No, when you say selfless, I want to just expand to that. That's what you mean by the selfless, because many people don't understand it. And the second part you said, okay, at least I personally do that, and we have a lot of trouble because I do that a lot. Like a selfless service, I keep on doing to my friends or family, anybody seek the help. So I keep on doing that. So what is selfless? It means you're not expecting anything in return. So you need to be very, very clear that, like Gilari, she was like a devotee of Rama, and based on her capacity, she cannot lift the boulders like the other monkeys and all that. So she was just looking at the pebbles, and she was putting the pebbles to the, in the help of making the bridge. So all these pebbles also eventually they are going to help us, and Rama recognized that. So it does not matter what you are, but she is just doing it just for the sake of Bhagwanji.
To Bhagwanji and to your capacity. That's a very good point that you bring up. And the author also says that because sometimes what happens is that we get overwhelmed. You just say that मुझसे नहीं होने वाली भक्ति, मेरे बस की नहीं है. I cannot do it, right? So that's why I'm saying it doesn't matter. You might see somebody chanting 16 rounds, and I can't even concentrate for 1 round, right? It's okay. You do whatever you have to do according to your capacity. If you try to go beyond capacity, then you will lose the joy that you get from doing service. So you have to do it within your capacity. So good point,
So
Shiva.
just another point I want to add. Okay, so capacity mean also like what you can do.
Mhm.
You know, so if you have the money, you can help by the money. If you have like a knowledge, you can pass on the knowledge.
Absolutely.
You are a doctor, you can serve like poor people without asking for that. So if you're an engineer or something, you can teach some people all these kind of a service. If you can provide like some help, guidance, psychological or whatever. So just again, I'm expanding it.
Thank you for
It's not
expanding.
physical,
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
like anything it can be.
Anything it can be, yes. Sometimes it can be just, you can serve others by just listening to them. Some people just want to be heard. They are so sick. They're going through something. They don't want you to sort out things for them. They just need a, helping ear. Yeah. So there's so many ways in which you can serve. Yeah, thank you. I like that.
What's the difference between service and dana?
What is the difference between service and dana? Any thoughts on that? Let's take them one by one. What is dana?
Okay.
Any thoughts?
And it's my thoughts, it may be wrong, but dawn is like just a transaction. You just give it to and then you just forget about it. Again, it's a selfless. You are giving dawn to somebody and not expecting anything in return. Service is like a continuous process, and you can do like today and repeatedly basically. So service is a longer duration, and dana is like just like a one time. I mean, kind of a transaction.
But you can do danas continuously.
That's like it's not a
recurring payments. Recurring payments instead of like $11, 11 cents. Charity.
I think
Like it's a monetary association with the dana.
Oh, you can do Kanyadan, you can do Gyandan, you can do any dan. Yeah.
So I guess one synonym for this.
Okay, one at a time. Yeah, one at a time. Yeah, one at a time. Who has the microphone speaks?
Yeah.
It's a guest.
So, I think Dan is a type of service.
Yes, correct.
And the thing is, like, I think one thing which was said out here is, what's the intent with which you do it?
Yes.
Right? If the Dan is done from a thing of saying, someone told you, if you do this, then you'll get this.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's very different from you doing it selflessly.
Right.
So I think the intent, otherwise, Dan is.
Yes.
service.
And Krishna in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita talks about Dan, and he talks about it in terms of the modes of material nature. And he says that Dan can be done in the mode of ignorance, Dan can be done in the mode of passion, and Dan can be done in the mode of goodness as well. And of course, then there is the transcendental Dan that you do. So Dan in the mode of ignorance is that you have stopped by on a red light and somebody knocks on your door and he's standing there with like, please give me $20. And without thinking, you take out your $20 and you give it to him, and the guy is a junkie. He goes and buys some drug, right? So you gave some money, but that is not for the good of that person. The second dan that we do is is you give the dan because you expect glorification. Right? So when in the temple, they're asking, how much can you give? How much can you give? So the last person said 1,000, and you stand up and say 1,008. Oh, wow. Right? There claps like that. So that was not done with the intent of pleasing Krishna or the intent of Dan. The intent, as you mentioned, was, that it is not selfless, right? Not selfless. And the third Dan is done in the goodness, where you look at Desh, Kal, and Patra. You look at the situation, the place, you will look at the person to whom you are giving the dan, does he deserve it, right? And also the time. According to that, you will do the dan. So to answer your question, so dan is a sort of service, because not only can people give money as a dan, that's the easiest way to do, but you can also give your bal dan, you can give your time to others. So that's what it is. Yeah. Usually service, in the general term, dan is usually dravya dan, where you're giving some material things. And so that it's the easiest way of doing it. And but it'll lead to your purification ultimately. Because we read somewhere here that we are beings and we have what is the problem of giving? There was a section on renunciation in the beginning, right? So what was the problem, they said, with renunciation? Why are we not able to renounce? They said there was one characteristic that we have. Attachment, exactly. Yes, Ramya, 500 points. for that. Yeah, because of our attachment, it's very difficult to give. And Vyashishika Prabhu always jokes and he says that, you know, we actually we ask people to give down. Like when we go out on book distribution, and you must go one day. When we go out on book distribution, we ask them to give us some donation, even if it is 1 cent. We ask them. And what is the reason that we ask them to do? Because when they give dan for a spiritual activity, they are getting spiritual credits. Right. So that's why, and then we are facilitating them by asking, although it is so humiliating for us to ask, right? One might just think I'm such a big engineer, working software engineer, I'm working this, and I'm begging, you know. So it might feel like that, but that's what you do. You put your ego underneath your feet and you go and ask, and that is for other person's benefit that you're doing, right? That's a service you're doing to them, okay? Like that. So he always says that. So we ask people to donate, and when they come to the temple, we'll ask them to put money in the hundi. So you go and put $50 in the hundi. And then on the way back, driving back, your mind is going to tell you that I think $50 was too much for Krishna. Krishna already, I shouldn't have done that. And then, I really needed the $50 for something else. So he's saying, well, then, but the very fact that you donated $50 is now making you think about Krishna. So ultimately the purpose is served, right? That's why we ask. Now, of course, there is, when Lakshmi is involved, there are chances of going astray with that as well. So too much of Lakshmi, people can just use it for their own purposes as well. So that is very, very dicey. So trying to handle large amounts of Lakshmi, we have to first increase our spiritual strength to a high level to say that I'm not deviated, or I'm not shaken by seeing, my mind is not shaken by seeing large amounts of Lakshmi there. Yeah. So and then talking about, asking, like doing selfless service, right? So if I'm not doing selfless service, and I have a reason for doing service to somebody, this means that I'm expecting something, right? So maybe like, I did this for you, I dropped your son to school, so next time you drop my son, like that, right? So there is this expectation is there. So that's not service I'm doing, right? Second could also be that, I don't have a son, so who is she going to drop? So it could also be that, I want her to appreciate me in front of all others, or so some sort of a gratitude. Come on, I'm doing so much for you. What about, where is that? Thank you, like that. So it's a very interesting thing that gratitude demanded. Now, do we demand gratitude? Look into your hearts. Think about conversations with the spouses.
They give you a glass of water, they expect you to say thank you.
They give you a glass of water, they expect you, thank you. I used to run errands for my mom, and whenever my mom asked me to do this thing, like I go, stove mein jala do, 10 paise de do. I had a constant dealing with your mom, and then when she scolded, she said, no, when you're doing things to your parents, you should not do, because your parents do so many things selflessly for you. And that is a very interesting thing, because then the mom counted so many things that she does for me and not asking 10 cents for me. and so sometimes, as part of educating the kids, parents might tell them that this is all that we are doing, so you should be grateful. They're training them, right? It's not that they're expecting like that, but as a parent, they're teaching them. But generally with us, with others, when we expect gratitude. So gratitude demanded. They say gratitude demanded is gratitude diminished. Right? So keep that thing in mind, that it has to be selfless service that you do. What do you think about that service-oriented classes?
Oh, that was very good. Yeah, we should not,
Judgmentally.
we should actually, it's hard sometimes, but yeah, we have to always think that if we cannot just judge others from how they are doing or looking, because you don't know what they're going through, and I think everyone is going through something or the other.
Very well said. Yeah. Everyone is going through something. Yeah. And then on denunciation, what else did we hear? So it's difficult to renounce because we are attached. And what was the other thing about renunciation? Very powerful thing that they said. Go take the microphone.
Over the senses.
Controlling over the senses is renunciation, yeah. But there was something, yeah. One more thing was there, yeah, about renunciation. Renunciation was talked about in the very beginning, right? of the chapter, there was a section on renunciation.
Detachment. Just think about that. Detached from everything and everyone.
Detached from everything and everyone. Yeah, what else was there? There was a very nice example that they gave. Bank of
They'll think you're crazy.
Bank of America. They'll think you're crazy. And why? Yeah, you're on the spot. Use this. Because I only spoke about this parable. Okay. Yeah, because if you think you are gonna give away everything, all the money you have in the bank, so that the bankers would think you are crazy. But why do they think you are crazy?
Yeah.
Why will the banker think you are crazy?
Because you think that you own everything in the bank. That is
Exactly.
craziness. Like, hey,
Exactly.
it's not yours. How can you give it to it?
Right. And then let's discuss that a little bit more on renunciation then. What do you own?
So
You don't own the Bank of America, but then what else do you own?
I mean, and so,
Money.
no, not money. Money is a one thing, yeah. But like you can own many things. Like Karna gave all like his like the whole thing in all your body, like protection and all that. You can renunciate that. You can renunciate your bad habits or good. I mean, whatever bad habit or something like that. And then you have a money. You can material world. You can go and give it to them. I mean, that also renunciate. But you can only renunciate on what you own.
Right. And my question was, what do you own?
Okay.
So what is the definition of owning?
So, Madhuri, actually, we don't own anything, but it's all our illusion that we own. We don't even own our own body,
Yes.
our own breath. So, what moment you leave this body, you cannot decide. So, actually, we all are living in that illusion that I own this. It's like everything starts from me and mine.
Right. Right. Everything starts from me and mine. Bhagavad Gita starts with mine. Mamaka Pandavas Jaiva Kim Akarvat Sanjaya. Right. First chapter, first verse he says that. Yeah.
Just have lots of attachment about my kids. Then how can we detach with the kids? There is always a mom always say, it's my kid, my kid.
Yeah. Yeah. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janyat Ashu Vairagyam Yanam Chayat Ahetukam. So where will you get this vairagya, this detachment and this ability to renounce? You will get it from devotional service. So once you proceed into devotional service and progress in devotional service, it doesn't mean that you will not be attached to your son or you won't love your son. You will also start loving other people's sons equally because now your vision has changed. Instead of thinking that this one is my son and that one is her son, you will see that all of them are Krishna's son and I love him. Right? So out of love for Krishna, you will love every of his creations like that, right? Like you love somebody, then you start loving, the people around them like that. So, but bhakti doesn't say, bhakti means love. And bhakti doesn't say that you have to stop loving, right? So the author, Vaisheshika Dasa, has said that he mentions over there that number one, he's saying that when it comes to renunciation, what is it that you own that you're going to renounce, right? But we have got so many things around us. Like we got a car, what can I do? Right? Your company gave you a car, what do you do, right? So there is, when he was growing up, Vaisheshika Prabhu, when he was growing up, he was trying so many spiritual paths. Buddhism was also one of them. And so what he learned from there was that you should not own anything, you should renounce anything. So if an uncle ever came to him and said, okay, here is a $10, like in those days when people used to use cash, when uncles came, they would give some money and, as a gift too. So they would come and give him $1 or something like that. He would just throw away the dollar so fast and so furious so that it doesn't come near him. Like, I don't have anything to do with money at all. Why? Because I'm on the spiritual path, right? That is not true renunciation. He realized that later on in life. So everything that you have in this world, we call that Maya, we call it material, but we have to understand that this material energy is also Krishna's energy, right? It's Krishna's energy. And so it is bad. The material energy becomes bad when you start to utilize it for your own sense enjoyment. That is when material energy becomes bad. Otherwise, you can use this material energy. We are using this microphone to do Krishna Katha. This is material energy. I'm using a computer and I'm broadcasting. I'm using Zoom. I'm using Facebook. I'm using YouTube. So many things that people, in some of the devotional service path, they say, don't go, don't touch Facebook. We touch Facebook because they're using that as a medium to propagate Krishna consciousness, right? So some of the verses in our scriptures talk about that there is Falgu Vairagya. Falgu Vairagya is useless Vairagya, where you stand in front of the Bank of America and you say, I'm going to renounce everything which is there. You never owned it, right? The second kind of Vairagya is called as Yukta Vairagya. Yukta means to connect, right? So Yukta Vairagya is that you continue to use everything, right? For example, when I first went to Los Angeles, ISKCON Los Angeles, on every August, every first Sunday of August, we all from ISKCON of Silicon Valley, we pile and so reserve that date. On a Friday afternoon, we all pile into a bus or more, which her brother-in-law arranges for us, and he arranges a hotel also for us to stay. So we just have to hop there, and from somewhere, prasadam, somebody arranges that. So we'll just eat, sing, and we go all the way to Los Angeles there, go to ISKCON temple, because on that Sunday, so Saturday we spend in the temple, and then Sunday there is a Rath Yatra for Jagannath Rath Yatra. So it goes down into the worst place down south, and which is Venice Boulevard, where you find all kinds of the weird people. So we distribute books over there. So Jagannath stays in the temple. He's on the altar. Jagannath, Baldev, and Subhadra are on the altar. And so the pastime is that a week before Jagannath Rath Yatra, the gods, they have Snan Yatra, and then they catch cold and they get fever, so they are resting, and then they come out on the Jagannath Yatra day. So when I went there for the first time to Los Angeles, and I was standing outside, and we were just ready to welcome the deities as they came out of the temple. So when I went out, I was shocked because there were 3 huge and beautiful limousines lined up there, and then they brought the deities out, and the deities sat in the limousines, and I was like, wow, look at that. So obviously, to own a limousine means that you are rich. But look at this person. He did not say that I won't have anything to do with money. He's some businessman, but he's using his limousine in the service of Krishna. That is Yukta Vairagya, right? Limousines can be used for many other purposes as well, right? But he used it for Krishna. That is known as Yukta. I was very impressed. And then there were 2 motorcycles. This is like, Krishna is great. When I went there, I was like, this is America. Like when you come here to America, you're like, this is not the culture. What will people think and all that? So obviously this is going to be a procession which will go all the way into Venice Boulevard. So policemen were brought in. So there were 2 very handsome, tall, healthy police inspectors. They came in motorcycles, and then when Jagannath was ready to go, they were right in front of them, and they were leading the procession. And I was like, look at that, how blessed they are. They do not even know Jagannath, but in this lifetime, they got the opportunity of doing service, selfless service to Krishna. Like they were paving the way for him to go. It was such a magnificent, image that I got. The scene that I saw is still etched so much in my mind that every year, I don't go here and there, but every year I do like to go to ISKCON Los Angeles to see that. So this year, reserve your Sunday and that weekend and come with ISKCON Silicon Valley. It's amazing. Like that. So yeah, Yukta Vairagya. Priyanka has already booked her seat there. What else did you read?
This is just one reminder that all kids have to share one with.
Oh, yes, thank you. I didn't say that. You want to say something?
It's just
please?
a section from what you said.
Oh,
Like,
yes.
As you progress in bhakti, I think eventual goal is to see Krishna in every soul, such that as you said, the love for one son will turn into every human being. And the other thing, I think you already mentioned that any material, whatever possessions you have, you should always think about Krishna and should always be using in the service of Krishna. At least try most of it.
Most of it to be. Yeah, very good. Actually, there was a very interesting behavior that I noticed in one of the devotees, that when he was ever given a book, right? He purchased a book. And so normally what we do is purchase the book, and then you write your name on the book, right? He would write the name so that it doesn't get confused, but he would say, in the care of ... Because this is Krishna's property, who am I to put my name on it? right? So people live a life. This is Krishna consciousness, to be conscious of Krishna in everything that you do in life. A very, very nice and a very sweet thing, and a very different way of looking at things, right? This is mine, this is mine. Rajat Kapoor was telling the other day of how his neighbor, he was doing some fence construction and fence between their two houses, and Guru Maharaj and Guru Ma went to India. When they came back, they saw that his fence had, come into their backyard about a foot like that. So people do that, because they think this is mine, right? But in the end, they have to leave everything and go. Go ahead, Karan. Yeah. Microphone. Who can take the microphone? 30 seconds or less.
Mataji, I have a question. So,
go ahead.
I mean, truly selfless is it's like really tough, right? Like, if you actually look at it, like, there will be most of the things, even if people are doing bhajan or something, it's like, oh, it will purify me. There's some expectation somewhere, like, truly selfless is the epitome of like getting that. Question is like, there are a lot of people where it's like, they will donate, but they need the names on buildings or whatever it is. Right? So do you think there are stages towards this saying, okay, at least they're doing good, let them do that. Let's not look at it as saying they're being transactional, so it's not good. There is some good in that. Let's start with that, and then, again, people will evolve with that if they do. But like,
Very, very good observation. Actually, Krishna in the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna is asking that who's better, those who meditate on you, Krishna, like that, or who meditate on the impersonal. So he talks about that, and then he says, no, the better of the two is that you meditate on me, Krishna, right? And Mayeva mana adhasva, Mayi buddhim niveshaya, nivashishai Mayeva atha urdham na sanshaya. So he says that you should always focus your mind on me. But then knowing that Kali Yuga is coming, right soon, he says, Mayeva manadasva, to focus the mind on Krishna is very, very difficult. Very few people will be able to do that. And like you said, that it's difficult to achieve that kind of selfless service attitude. So he said, well, if you cannot do that, then at least, you do some service for me. Do some work. So you're not able to sit, meditate, you're not able to chant. Why don't you come to the temple and wash some pots there? Okay. So that is service. So now the degrees are coming down, right? And then so, okay, if you're not able to do that, because sometimes it happens, the lady is very much involved in Krishna consciousness, husband doesn't support, he says, I forbid you from going, right? For example, when I story that Ramya Mataji told us today, the husband was such a rich businessman, did not give, and such a miserly man, would not give in a cent to anybody. And so he says, so you could be prohibited, or you have small kids, you cannot go, or you're sick, you cannot go. So there could be reasons and situations where you cannot go to the temple to do some service. Then he says, if you cannot do that, then you donate some money for me. He says, karma phala tyaga, whatever you have done, you dedicate the result, which is usually money of the results of our activity, then you dedicate that. So it is okay. It is a purificatory process. It's a purificatory process. Then to your point where you said that a certain person might be doing devotional service and says that it'll purify me, so is it selfless or not, right? Again, there was a comment from somebody where they said it is all about the intent. I don't know who said that.
It's Prabhu.
You said that. Okay, it's about the intent. And so why do you want to purify yourself? That is the intent. I want to purify myself because when you're purified, it shows in your facial expressions and people are going to say she is so peaceful, and I like that. That could be one intent that I do that, right? Second intent is that unless and until I'm not purified, I will not be able to do pure devotional service to Krishna. Right? So depending on the intent that you have, the very same activity and the very same thought and the very same thing that you're doing, trying to purify yourself, will have two different end results of that.
but like, if you look at that makes sense. But like, if you look at people who strive for excellence, right? Like in any field, they will visualize, they will see themselves performing. It's all for again, now the two sides of the coin. One, you can say, hey, they're chasing material gain or they're chasing excellence for their own good, right? Like a cricketer or anyone, right? Like they are visualizing things and they want to perform and they want to win. So there is a motive behind it. Now, how does that lead to, let's say, service? Saying, doing what you, again, the one way of looking at it is you were brought into this life to achieve that, and doing that is also kind of like, you're doing your karma, so you're in a way doing service. How does that link to, like, achieving goals, visualization linked to service? Are they connected? Is there any difference?
Again, a good point. Like, and one of the points that we said was that we take birth and we are given a particular body to execute the karmic reactions that we have got, right? So if I'm a cricketer, this means I've got a lot of Sukriti. Who's a famous cricketer?
Virat Kohli.
Virat Kohli is the one who took shelter these days?
Yeah.
Okay, right? So, yeah, so if you are a Virat Kohli, or if you are any cricketer, and we hear both good and bad about the cricket, right? When I was growing up, Sunil Gavaskar used to be the cricketer, right? And so there was a kid's book called Parag, and there was a section on Sunil Gavaskar in Parag. And Sunil Gavaskar, somebody had interviewed him, and he said that before every game, I meditate. And he meditates on positive thinking, that he meditates that he has won, right? He has made his century, like that positive thinking. So he used to do that. And so he's meditating. But what is he meditating on? He's meditating on his success. There is no Krishna consciousness there. Okay. So he will execute. He has come, he's taken this body, he will execute the karmic reactions. And that's it. That will be the only result of that life. Right. Now, a person might want to might want to play very well because he wants to beat the other country, because he wants to bring fame to his country. Right. So this is a noble thought. It is a good thought, but it's not a great thought. You see, and here in this chapter also, when you read that, fan the spark section, right? So you said, fan the spark. That's what spiritual people do. And the best thing that you can do is to give spiritual knowledge to somebody, right? So, and just coming here to executing your karmic reactions and not doing anything about it other than that, it's fine, but this is not the end of your karmic reactions, because we have a huge part of karmic reactions waiting for us to be executed. And that's why we keep on taking birth again and again, again and again. And in each birth, we accumulate even more karmic reactions, good and bad, right? So this pot never empties. The idea is to empty that pot. And that pot is so big for all of us that it's going to take us millions of births, which means millions of more karmas will get added back to the pot. So it's like a vicious cycle. Like a Ferris wheel. You're not going anywhere, but you're constantly in the movement. You're moving, but you're not nowhere there, right? Now the beauty is in Brahma Samhita, it says that down from Indragopa. Indragopa is a tiny red velvety insect that you find in India when there are rains and this, on the green grass, this red velvet thing. I remember as a child, I used to go and pick them. That's Indragopa. Right? So Indragopa is that insect. I mean, but it doesn't mean that from Indragopa upward, anyone who is in this material world, right from Indragopa all the way up to Indra, who is the king of all the demigods, they all have got karmic reactions. Yes, to Indragopam Vatuvendra karma. So they all have got that, right? And they are karmani bandhini. They are bound by their karmic reactions. Karmic reaction has to come, it will come. Right? But then he says, karmani nirdahati kintu cha bhakti bhajam. Dahan, dahan means daha sanskar, what do? You take the dead body, burn it, right? Daha sanskar. So daha means to burn. So karmic reactions can be karmani nirdahati. Your karmic reactions can be burnt. Now there is a special significance of using the word burnt. And I think you gave that example a few sessions ago here, is that suppose I have a secret letter. I'm a spy. And I have a secret letter that, my boss gave me to execute in this country where I'm acting as a spy. So I got the letter. Now there are so many ways for destroying it, right? If I just, hide it somewhere, then it's also, hidden from people, but it can be found out and people can read what was given to me. I can shred it into pieces and I can throw it in the trash can. But then, in the world of espionage, people do take bits of pieces and they go to all lengths to put them all together and they'll read the message there. But if you burn it, nothing can be done about that, right? So similarly, when you take to Bhakti Yoga, all your karmic reactions get burnt. They're burnt and they are gone completely like that, right? So that is why what we do is we go out door to door, we go out in the streets, we come and bring people together, and which you all also going to do, to spread Krishna consciousness, to help people get rid of that part of karma that is over there. Otherwise, we keep replenishing it with more and more as we go on there. Go ahead, microphone.
But Gita, there is a karma yoga also. This, right? If a person, right, for example, if they are doing the karma as a duty, not looking after for the what will be the result, they are doing just as a part of the duty. So does it also consider as a devotional bhakti, or it is still as a karma?
It is just, it's a karmic, it's your duty. So there are different kinds of duties that we have. Some are known as swabhavik duties. For example, I have got a human body, so I have to brush my teeth. I have to take a shower. I have to eat also to keep my body together. These are swabhavik. I'm a parent, so I have to take care of the child. Those are your duties and they have to be done. Generally, they have to be done. If you have a wife, you have to take care of the wife. Those have to be done, right? But then what is the main duty of a soul? Bhakti, right? Bhakti. And bhakti of every soul, but the souls can be in different types of body. The soul can be in a plant, the soul can be in an animal, right? And the soul can be in a human body. And that's why this book started with Athato Brahma Jigyasa, that now that you've got a human body, you should inquire about God. And once you inquire about God, then you should go and serve God selflessly. But if person is doing karma yoga, these are just stages in the yoga ladder. Like you take the yoga as a ladder, and it starts with karma kandi. Karma kandi is just you go and worship some demigod, or you go to worship Krishna for something for yourself, right? Karma kanda, and then gyan kanda, like that keeps on going till all the way it comes to when you do pure bhakti to Krishna. And that is what they are aiming here to do. I'm being mindful of the time. Yeah. And we can continue. They are very good questions, and it was a very interesting and important chapter. We can continue the discussions over Prasadam. Thank you so much for joining us here, those who are watching us on Facebook, YouTube, and Zoom. Is there a question? Okay.
I will start with kids.
Oh,
One more
yes.
reflection.
Yes. Okay. I forgot that part, the homework. Nice. Come, hold it a little bit. Rest it on your chin here. Look at me. Yeah, here.
When we talk about yajna, because it shows that even if you have materials that you can use it for a good way, you can use it through selfless service.
Very nice. Yukta Vairagya, right? Yukta Vairagya is the word you're looking for? Yeah. Rahini, you need some time?
What's the output service? It's like
Hold it close to, don't hold it here, hold it close to your mouth, yeah, and louder.
I like the eyes of service thing because it's like he was judging people and then he was angry, but then when he found out what they were going through, he stopped judging them and then his ego, he felt better and he was peaceful and happy.
Right, yes, the service glasses are an all-time favorite story.
I think how Ryan said it was that the takeaway see through the eyes of service and the eyes without you shouldn't always judge people or be angry with them because you don't know what could be going on in their life.
Right, good. The eyes of service is trending among the kids. Okay.
I really like the selfless service part, because it was talking about how when someone serves, you should serve only for the selflessly. You should serve. You shouldn't do it for a thank you, like how you said, or you shouldn't do it because you want something in return. And whoever's doing it selflessly, that's the person who's actually getting true satisfaction from the service.
Very nice.
So next time your dad asks you for the water or something, yeah, just give the water.
I do
Does I ask?
No, I'm just kidding.
You're right. You're right. There's many more she can add.
Yeah, I know.
I liked how it said that we should like bend over for like everyone, but we should like use our intelligence to discover how we can improve in a situation. So like you shouldn't it's like give everyone what they want. And like um do it for like not like also what Arna said, not for like thank you but like to help them.
Nice, nice. Good, good, good. Who else?
Devyansh and Gayatri. Oh, something, Ricky, what you like, what word?
Gayatri ko do, yeah.
Think word.
Okay, I like that there's many different ways you can give like selfless service because not everyone can offer the same thing.
And we should do it according to our
Capacity.
Correct. Yes,
Yeah.
good.
So one of the thing like, in the mandir we go temple, like sometimes Perumal temple, all the kids, like sometimes they serve the food to others. That's like another way of servicing.
Yes, it is. And there was an example of serving food in this book also, in this chapter today, right? I mean, how hungry he was. Last thing he wanted to do was to serve others, right? But that's the height of service, that you are yourself hungry and then your boss comes and says, no, you have to serve prasadam. But then you saw finally, it was replaced. Yeah, so that's the beauty of service, that whatever is bothering you, when you enter into service, that botheration goes away and you're so immersed in service. Go ahead.
So, I think all kids are covered now.
Okay, so I just wanted to bring up one thing. Sorry, I forgot, but this was important. Did we read about the hedonic treadmill? Yeah, what was it about the hedonic treadmill? Huh? What was the deal about? What was it about? What is a hedonic? Why were they using the word hedonic treadmill? Anybody uses treadmills?
Treadmills, yes.
Huh?
Yes.
So tell us about a treadmill. How does it operate?
No, treadmill like, sorry, I did not.
No. I'm just asking about the normal treadmill. Anybody goes to the gym?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
belt on which you rest.
It's a moving belt and you keep on walking without going anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. And what else do you do on the treadmill?
Just walk there.
Yeah, but then there are other things that you can chase the incline, right? Yeah. So you keep on increasing the incline and incline keeps on increasing. Okay. In the book, yeah. You wanted to say something?
Okay, I'm just holding.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, the hedonic treadmill is, yeah. The hedonic treadmill is, listen, this is very important. Whatever material gain a person achieves in life, they get used to it and then they want more. Right? And what was the law of diminishing returns? They talked about the law of diminishing returns. Yeah. The law of diminishing returns is that, and the example given was the joy that you will get when you purchase the second car will be less than whatever little and fleeting you got when you purchased the first car. So these are two things to keep in mind, because that is what keeps us away from selfless service. Why I don't want to do selfless service to others, because I want things for myself. But again, remember, you will be hit by the hedonic mills thing. Today, I want this, I want this, I want this. You're never satisfied. But if you take to doing service, take to Krishna consciousness, with whatever little that you have, you'll be so happy. Like that. So take that as a parting thought. And,
But that too without looking for recognition.
Correct. Without recognition. Recognition is a killer.
Yeah. When we do a lot of time we donate, but we not want our
Right.
Right. So.
Right.
So in economics.
All right. Economics, yeah. Sorry.
How do you classify recognition for your hard work?
Yes, very good question. So if you do hard work, people do recognize, right? People do recognize. So what do I do then? Right? People are recognizing. If I just say, this is nothing, or you don't do, or I'm rude and say, don't ever say that to me, it is rude, it is bad. And it's going to hurt that other soul, which is absolutely a wrong thing and not to be done. Never hurt a soul. When people praise you, what you do in turn and what we do in my lineage is, if you ever say that, oh, Chadamati, your class was so good, I will always think, from who did I learn it? Whatever I'm speaking, from whom I'm learning, right? From my spiritual master. So we always give it to your spiritual master. And what does your spiritual master do? He gives it to his spiritual master. He gives it to his spiritual master. Ultimately, it goes to Krishna. So one way of handling all this praise that comes onto you and without letting it go to your head is to say, all this is coming from Krishna and you be grateful to Krishna. So every time anybody is praising you, it is harmless for you because every time they praise you, you are connecting to Krishna again through gratitude, like that. Does that help? Everything goes back to Krishna ultimately.
Because in this material world, nothing is permanent, everything is temporary. So one time we might be able to do the best, but second time we might not be able to do it. And then that praise which we got the first time, we will not get in the second time. There will be a vacuum and we will be dissatisfied.
Exactly. And then a very interesting episode, I'm not very good at Mahabharata, I'm just trying to faintly recollect, is that when the Mahabharata war was over and Krishna tells Arjuna to get off of the chariot, and then Krishna also gets out of the chariot and the chariot explodes. And Arjuna is completely bewildered and he says, the reason it did not explode was I was standing on the treadmill. We hear about that again in Srimad Bhagavatam in the first canto, where Arjuna, after Krishna leaves the body and goes away, Arjuna is defeated by some cow herds people, they defeat him. And then the explanation given is that all these wars that Arjuna won, right, was because Krishna was with him, right? So we keep on connecting everything that good that we have here, every praise that we get, keep on giving it back to Krishna. Say, Krishna is coming to you, be grateful. And again, praying that Krishna, let it not get to my head, because it can get to your head very quickly. And that is mud. Mud is, pride. And it's a killer of devotional service. Yeah, there are 6 killers.
The very first question Arjuna asked, like, I don't want to fight in my family, like his own brothers, cousins were the opposite side. So that time also Krishna said, like, you are not fighting for you, like, keep yourself aside. It's a Krishna, you're doing for dharma. And I can't explain exactly what that,
Very good point, because the same Krishna, same Arjuna in first chapter of Bhagavad Gita says, Kinno bhogena rajena, king bhoge. So he says, how am I going to enjoy the spoils of war? How am I going to enjoy all this? If my own people are dead. So he's thinking about his own enjoyment. And the same Arjuna, after he hears Bhagavad Gita, and Krishna tells that, paritranaya sadhuna vinashaya dushkritam. I've come here to kill, and you just be nimitta matra sarvasatya, right? You just be an instrument there. So he's an instrument. So then he understands, yes. So when you're doing devotional service and you progress in devotionals, or when you're doing not devotional service, well, it is devotional service, but in the sense that you are propagating devotional service and you are excelling in that. For example, Touchwood ISKCON Silicon Valley is a very, prosperous temple. So when it is because of whom? Because of the selfless service of the, Vaishnavi Kapoor and his wife, they have dedicated their whole life for doing that. So once you get these kind of progress in life, in the projects that you're working on, make it a point to, remember that it's Krishna's, without Krishna's will, nothing happens. Nothing, not a blade of grass can move without the sanction from Krishna.
Karma is in your hand, the result is in Krishna's hand.
Karmanevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana, right?
And one more thing, my grandfather used to say, like, we used to live on a very busy street. And a lot of people used to come at our place and ask for water, and we used to serve water, try whatever they need. And sometimes, we kids were very anxious. Why Dadaji asked us all the time, go get the water for them, go get the. Then my Dadaji used to say, आँख भी बिना कर्म के नहीं मिलती, किसी से अगर हमारी आँख भी मिलती है, so that is the karma. You don't see that person, this all
Very nice.
you don't randomly, even your eye contact doesn't happen. It is the result of.
Yes, Ranturudani Maya. It says that the Yanta means a machine. So this human body is actually a machine, and the soul is just sitting inside the machine. The machine has got its own algorithms, the systems that operate it. We have nothing there. All right, then we'll take a leave here. There's a question, Neeral, go ahead, yeah. It's so good to see Neeral and Kathy, yeah. It's like old times, Neeral, isn't it? Yeah, wherever Neeral lives, there will be Bhakti Vriksha. So they moved from Pacifica, no, Millbrae. They used to have Bhakti Vriksha in their home all the time, and now they're here.
Well, I just want to bring up, you said our body is an algorithm. So last time you mentioned about when you read about it's an automatic ventilator, right? We are the soul, the body is already here. That's what I mentioned.
Yeah, yes, thank you. Thank you for
Another
that.
thing I like was
Make it closer, make it closer to you.
I didn't remember the exact part, but show me the people you associate with and I'll tell you.
Show me your friends and I'll show you your future, your destiny. Yes.
That really
Yeah, it was meant for the kids. Yeah, there was a sentence there. Show me your friends and I will show you your future. This is something very important that you should keep in your mind.
Because I think that's very important for us for progress. Like even if you're going from okay, if I'm doing it today for recognition, suppose for example, but at least I'm donating money, at least Krishna made me do that.
Yes.
Then if I'm associating with other people, it's hopefully improve.
That is true. Yes, yes. And even when you do these pious activities, you get pious credits. Yeah. And pious credits do help you. You help you in the sense that, some pure devotee will come and will introduce you to Krishna consciousness. Yeah. Thank you, thank you. आप जरा 2 मिनट के लिए रुक जाएंगे थोड़ा और मना लें जन्मदिन.
Hare Krishna. Krishna. So today we are celebrating Shraddha Mataji's birthday, and we have one more person among us whose today is very special day. It's her birthday today on 3rd. So her name is Priyanka Mataji. Priyanka Mataji, we have this Maha garland of Shri Radha Madan Mohan for you.
Can I take a picture?
Yeah.
आएगा महाराज तब तक
Can I say something?
देख के बता देगा
I found you.
Oh, is that
We are 5 years together.
Oh, wow, this is news. I didn't know that.
Always support this and
Thank you. Good. I'm glad. Okay, so those who are watching us online, we will call it a day here on this call. Thank you so much for joining us. Hare Krishna, Dandra Pranam.
Is this a once final?
Check it.